You are listening to the BlahCade Podcast. I'm your host, Shut Your Trap, aka Chris Freebus. Joining me, as always, Jared Morgan.
G'day, Chris.
So, we in case anybody knows, we skipped a week.
Yeah, we kind of did have a gap week because things were happening, right?
Things were happening, yeah. So sometimes that happens, and sometimes we announce it, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, but no one said, "Hey, where are you guys?" So no one really cared. So it's okay.
It's all well. Well, I can tell you where I'm not right now as we speak, and it was on Friday, Saturday, and then today, Sunday. It's the Arcade Expo 3.0. Where they have the mega amount of pinball machines.
And all the good things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was the show I've been on, Disney's Stuck in the Middle. We were supposed to finish filming on Wednesday.
Yeah, and even saw a tweet and everything, right?
Yes, then it got extended to no, we're working on Thursday, which meant our wrap out day was Friday, so I wouldn't be able to have gone to the expo on Friday, and there's no way in hell I would go on Saturday. And last year Sunday, by that point, half the machines weren't working, so
they do. I mean, they get hammered all weekend pretty much.
So say lovey.
They don't really have they do have a team of people there trying to keep them up, but they don't, it's not really.
Well, that's what I thought. That is what I thought. And I will go into just a little bit later as to more info. But according to Mike Levitt, who is the guy that does Wizard Amusements, he said they had a swarm of techs this weekend.
Oh, they did they? Good.
Some of which are the absolute top techs in the country.
Right. So you could have actually taken your EBD over there and saying, "Oh, I don't know what's wrong with the sound." They would have gone, "Oh, no worries. We'll just put some cats in for you. It'll be fine."
Right. So yeah, that's where I'm not, and but that's okay.
I'm very broken at the moment. I did a mud run yesterday with my son, and it was I'd estimate probably a 2K course.
Okay.
And it was just around the school oval basically, but the school oval's got bushland and stuff, and they actually dug out mud pits that we had to crawl through, and they had all these crawling areas, and they had this bubble foam cannon that we had to go through as well. So it was pretty much like one of those, tarred, feathered, and it was a bit of an experience, but it was a lot of fun. And
I was gonna say, I can imagine your son was probably having the time of his life, and you're just going, "Oh God, I got to wash all this."
Yeah. Well, there was that, and because they had the sort of chalk paint stuff that they spray on you as you're running through things. So yeah, it was pretty full on. And just as we finished, there was this. We thought, okay, we'll go up to the car and get our gear, and we'll change out of that now, and so we can get sort of dry. And then when we got up to the car, the heavens just opened up, and it was a torrential downpour. So we were already wet and muddy,
so
and we had the hose down. Yeah, we just went, well, not much point us actually getting into our dry clothes. Let's just stay in our wet clothes.
Right.
So we went back down into the oval and caught up with my wife, Kim. And she said, maybe you just want to take everyone home now. And I went, yeah, probably. So we all just trudged back up to the car, and we could see that it was clearing in the distance. And I thought, you know what? Let's just wait here for 5 minutes and wait until the storm passes, and we can sort of get out of our clothes and hop in the car and drive on home. So that's what we did. But it was good fun. It was very fun. I think there would have been a claustrophobic worst nightmare, though. There were a couple of pipes you had to go through. And one of them, I was looking at it going, how am I going to fit through that? But it was one of those ones where you sort of had to go down on your elbows, basically, and just sort of shimmy your way through it. I thought, I can't believe I actually got through that pipe. It was so small. But yeah, I got it through. It was good fun. It was a good fun day.
So in beta form right now on Pinball Arcade, we have Swords of Fury.
Lion
Have you
Man.
have you gotten to mess with it at all?
Oh yeah, heaps. I've been playing it a fair bit over the beta. Fun game.
Yeah, here's my. I've got a couple comments about this table. First comment though is regarding tuning for how it's tuned at the moment. So you plunge the ball.
Yep.
It then gets sent over to the mini playfield, where it seems to avoid the flipper at all cost.
Yeah, there's some seriously strange tuning. They're aware of it. I was talking to the guys about it, and I said, yeah, I sort of just around the sort of area where the flipper is, and just below the light, the sort of insert light that should flash when you roll over it. There's some funky tuning going on there, and they know that it's crook, and they need to address it before they release it. So yeah, that'll be solved.
Because I was like, I don't remember in my limited exposure to playing the table it being difficult to hit the ball with the mini flipper, and it's like because it was basically you can't hit the ball as soon as it rolls off the habit trail. You can't hit it with the flipper. You have to wait for it to do a bounce, but then the bounce 50% of the time doesn't bounce back over to the flipper for you to be able to hit. It just would drain.
It bounces. Yeah, it did bounces straight down the guts. Yeah, it's not good.
So that was that issue that I'm glad that they're aware and will be addressing.
There's also some plunger lane tuning issues on Android at the moment. The plunger lane, it's almost like it's got glue in it. So when you plunge the ball and it rejects, it rolls back down slowly. It's like it's going through mud, but that's okay because they know about that too. It's obvious that there's something going on there, so they just need to tweak it. It was at the very first beta that went out. You couldn't even plunge the ball; like it wouldn't even get up the ramp. They would get a rail and flip back out into the upper ramp area. So yeah, it was pretty broken. But yeah, they fixed that in the version 2. But yeah, I think it still needs a bit of work. There is a little bit of tuning stuff outstanding, I think, for the game. But overall, though,
as par for the course now, it looks beautiful.
It does. Jeez,
done a really spectacular job, and there's all sorts of little levels and parts there to render and get right.
It's a little bit like the complexity of Black Knight 2000 and all the stuff that it has on there, but I think even more complex because Black Knight 2000 was dominated by the upper playfield, whereas this is just like a little mini playfield up on the top, and then all this other stuff as well. I actually went into camera view mode and explored the table, and I was looking at just the crispness of the playfield. I'm going far out, like it actually looks. You know, the whole idea of photorealistic. I'm looking at it going, that actually, it looks like I'm standing right over the table, looking into it in this orientation, like close up. I'm just going, it's incredible. They must have a super high res camera now to do playfield shots. Yeah, no,
it's looking very good.
I think the 3D scanner that they've got to do parts is really making a difference there. Super slick. Yeah.
Now, the things I don't like about the table, mainly is one thing, that every single time you flip the flipper, it does that sound or whatever, like a claw, or is it a sword? I don't know. I keep it for some reason.
It's a sword swiping, of course.
For some reason, I'm thinking Lion Man, and I'm thinking a claw. I'm not digging that happening every single flip.
I think you could turn it off in the operating settings, but I think it's on by default, which is what.
Well, that would be promo settings, though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, which means it doesn't hold over to regular mode, and I don't like that. That's the one thing I did. If they could, if you purchase pro mode and were able to do things that don't affect the gameplay, in terms of like leaderboard
adjustment menu or like I think adjustments menu is actually where all those things hide out on those games. So you couldn't just like filter it out from that. But yeah, it would be good if they,
that way you could listen to
family mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You play Scared Stiff in non-family mode, but it would still count towards a leaderboard. That's that kind of stuff just kind of bugs me because it's like I don't want to play pro mode because nothing counts essentially.
That's right, and it's a real pain to actually try and navigate through it as well. Yeah. Like some of the tables, the pro mode, it really isn't well implemented at all. So you get hang-ups in the menus and stuff like that. And I think what would be better as a compromise would be for those tables that have known features that you want to turn on and off, just have it as a pro mode pre-configured setting. So if you go, yep, I want family mode off, and then it just goes into the ROM and just basically sets that flag automatically as part of the ROM state that they load at the beginning of the game. So you'd have like basically ROM, like 3 or 4 ROM states basically. You'd have a tournament mode, which just locks it down to tournament. You'd have like the pro, not the pro, the family mode options on those tables that support it. You might have like extra balls off or something like that. Things that, you know, most people would actually want to do in most cases, have those as presets. I think that would be a great thing to do.
Yeah. The other thing that the part that cracks me up with the table, and I think it's unintentional, although I read something about while the table was in development, there's a euphemism that was associated with the table.
I think I know what you're talking about. I saw it as well. When the guards come out, you mean?
What's that?
When the guards come out?
Yes.
Come out?
Here come the guards, but they spell it C-U-M. And if you listen to certain sound effects on the table, it really becomes quite inappropriate.
Yeah, I agree. It is. When I read that, I went when I got the mode, because I can't remember playing that game very much, because as we talked about last time on the show, it was ages since I played that game. Like I played it when I was like 12, so I don't think I got that far in the games. When I saw it come up on screen, I went, "Here come the guards! Come!"
Well,
yeah.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, too, when the thing that I read was that internally at Williams, they had a name for the game. And
what was it called?
I believe it was called Dixafury.
Yeah, that would have got past the
no, not so much.
Dixafury. If it was Capcom now, Capcom could have done that.
Yeah, well, I think they attempted to with Zingy Bingy.
Zingy Bingy, yeah, that's right. That is very funny.
All right, time out 1 second, because my son is desperately wanting to ask a question. What?
Okay.
Jared, about so in our science, well, in one of these books, it said that Australians would like eat honey ants.
Okay, so the question is that in a science book or class that my son had, it said that the Australians pop honey ants into their mouths.
You can, well, it's part of what they call bush tucker here in Australia, where the native Aborigines would actually know what things they could eat and what things they couldn't. And honey ants probably are one of those things you can eat. What you'd do is you'd pop off the abdomen of them, so the back end of them, and it probably would actually taste quite sweet.
Okay, so the answer, buddy, is that it's something that the Aborigines of Australia used to do. Aborigines are the natives to Australia before the English came and gave all their prisoners over.
And basically turned it into a colony.
Okay. Okay. That was a desperate question brought in by my son. Thank you for interrupting. That's okay.
And that is, the trusted expert of all things nature here.
Yes,
Jared Morgan, the authority on everything Australia.
So anyway, back to
Dixafury.
Dixafury, yes.
It's totally going to be the name of the show today.
But it is one of those things. Now, here's the other part that I laugh about. Now, I'm not. There's one of those things I believe first it's going to have to tune. Also, is that after you drain your ball, if you have a ball locked, it ejects the ball, right? But they haven't disabled any of the sound effects as the ball is coming back down. So, in the silence, you hear this. Which again,
it's fantastic, and they should not remove it.
So basically, it's a table that appeals to every 13-year-old boy.
Maybe that's why I liked it so much when I played it back then. I subconsciously thought, That sounds interesting, and it's stuck in my memory for that reason.
Right.
Hmm.
So, anyway, so there was that little bit of pinball news. Let's move on to my 8-Ball Deluxe, and I'll update you on updates on what's going on with there. Okay, so here's the deal. I had Mike Levitt, as I mentioned earlier. He came over to my house literally 2 hours before recording this podcast.
Oh, right, cool.
And just to give a look, see how I did with my purchase, and also to see if he could diagnose what's going on with the sound. Other issues that I was having was none of the GI lights were on. I had all the flashing lights, but none of the GIs. My replay knocker was not functioning, and I think that was basically the issues. So before he came, I decided to do what everybody was saying that you should do, which is unplug and replug every single connector.
Yes.
So I went ahead and I did all that, and when I turned the machine back on, suddenly I had a couple of lights that weren't working.
Hey, look at that. See? Fixed.
Which was not fixed. So I have no clue what happened there. It was basically the first E in Deluxe wasn't lighting, and the B insert light and the arrow that's above the B insert light at the top of the playfield on the little in lanes there. Neither of those suddenly wanted to work. So it was just those 3 lights. And literally before I was unplugging everything and replugging, they all worked. So there was that. So he came over, he started taking a look. The soundboard, we are getting crackles and pops through the speaker. So he was like, well, that's a good thing. And the MPU was functioning, was blinking how it needed to be blinking. And so we were happy on that end. And so he really wasn't, he was thinking that maybe my ROMs, need new ROMs for the soundboard. It could be the capacitors.
I'd say it's probably voltage.
That's
my guess.
That could be a thing. We weren't sure. So then and then I can't believe I didn't think of this. He was like, well, let's check the fuses. Oh. Well, that's an idea.
Yeah.
So
that's a good idea. Yeah.
So lifted up the playfield, pulls off one fuse. Oh yeah, this fuse is burnt. So we put in a new fuse. Hey, look at that! All the GI lights were back on.
Oh.
So
yeah.
There was that. However, I then went to ask him, "Hey, is my my slingshots aren't very sensitive, you might say. The ball really has to come at them in order to trigger them. So I wasn't sure if that's something era appropriate for the table, or if the springs just need to be adjusted to be a little more sensitive, so that because literally the ball, if it's coming on a shallow angle, it'll hit the slings and will not trigger them at all. It'll just bounce.
Sounds like you just need to re-gap your contacts.
Right, and that's why I was going to ask him if it was, again, era appropriate for then or not. But we go to activate the slingshots, and slingshots ain't activating. I was like, ooh, well, that's odd. And then touch the pop bumpers. Pop bumpers aren't activating. Well, that's not good either. Flip open the back box, and we don't have any MPU light anymore.
Oh, what? After putting the fuse in for the GI.
That's what we were like. We didn't touch the MPU. What happened? Don't know. So he's sitting there scratching his head about it. I don't know. No, he goes, let's check the fuse on the playfield itself, because there's one fuse on the underside of the playfield.
Oh.
So we look on the other side of the playfield, and sure enough, the contact point is bent, and so the fuse isn't getting proper contact.
Okay.
So I need to replace that.
Oh, righto. That's just a fuse holder, right? That shouldn't be that hard. Just fuse holder.
The question I got to figure out, well, we don't have electronic stores near me.
You know where it's stopped at? Probably Wizard Amusements. You probably have some of those lying around.
Well, there is a Fry's Electronics that I can get it from. It's literally a $2 part.
Yeah, it is. It's very inexpensive.
And I would need to defuse or de-solder and then resolder the new one on, which one of the guys on my show for a wrap gift gave me a rather, call it the beginner's soldering iron. It's literally just a soldering iron. There's no, it's not fancy with a holder or anything else like that.
That's fine. That's what
I figured good enough to at least get me going. But so what I'm hoping is that's what caused the MPU to futz out, and not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally the only explanation we can think of, because we didn't touch anything else on that.
There's probably that it probably does need to get that power loop back to the MPU to verify that everything is actually operating correctly.
Right.
I would think that it would have some sort of check saying, "Oh yes, power to the playfield, check. ROM state, check. All right, let's fire up the game." You know, I think it would do that. It would be intelligent enough to do that. So I think you probably got it right. You know, the other thing you could do to test it is just put a nail in line, and you know you'll be fine. just put a big bullet in line in the fuse holder that'll fit the bent contacts, and you know, it'll be fine.
You'll be fine. No worries.
Fine.
So anyway,
I say that because I've actually seen someone do something like that.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, dumb. Not with a bullet, but actually, I think someone, not in a pinball, in a car, someone decided to put a bullet in line in a fuse because that's all they had. And then, you know, there was still something wrong with it, so it heated up and fired and blew their toe off.
Just say, now you got other problems.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, I asked him, how did I do for the price I paid, which I will reveal now. $625 is how much I paid for
Bargain.
And he said, you got an absolute steal.
You bloody well did.
So he said that the playfield itself looks like it had been clear coated before, just kind of poorly.
Yeah.
Because it's cracked, and so there's where dirt has gotten into the surfaces, you might say. But he goes, and he just goes, dude, you're being nitpicky. If this is, he goes, just clean it with some Novus and deal with it. You know, you'll be perfectly fine. Nobody's, you know, you're not doing a restoration. So
it is what they call player condition. And when I say player condition, good player condition.
Right. And then when he looked at the underside, he was just like, yeah, everything's just dirty. So I can give everything a rub down, you know, all the solenoids and stuff. So that's not an issue.
Just vacuum it out. That's what I used to do when I was servicing them. Like, get your vacuum cleaner, quite literally vacuum out the bottom.
Yeah.
And huge difference.
And then the knocker is completely fried. So that I will have to actually replace.
I wonder, usually if a solenoid like that is fried, it was indicative of something else wrong with the system. So you might find that if you do get a new solenoid for that and you install it, if it locks on, you'll know you'll have a transistor problem on the board. So what might have happened is it could have actually got an open circuit with one of the transistors and it just locks on. That's what happens when coils burn out. So just check that if you do replace it, because it might be a crook transistor.
He mentioned something about that it was a carryover from when it was chimes.
Oh, okay.
And that's just it. They would lock on the chime or something like that. And so it's the same circuit going to it, if I heard him correctly. And so
sounds about right. Yeah.
Anyway, so that'll be needing to be replaced. He got in contact with a gentleman, I believe his name is Nick, from Las Vegas, and Nick is going to come out and take a look. I guess Nick works for Stern, and so is very familiar with these boards and stuff like that, and should be able to figure some things out, troubleshoot properly, and get me up and running. So that'll hopefully be not this week, but next week that he'll be able to address that and come over.
So at the moment, it's not playable because of your inline fuse issue.
Right, so I got to go take care of that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Get it back up. Other things that I had one drop target break on me, snapped at the base.
Oh, yeah.
So the game came with a couple of extra drop targets. So I went and did my first time ever changing a drop target without removing the assembly, which was fun trying to pull cotter pins. When you don't have the right tool for pulling a cotter pin, because pliers, you know, they kind of work. They're slippery little buggers, though. So anyway, I replaced the one, and somehow in the process of replacing that and reassembling, wound up snapping the base on another one. So fortunately, I had yet another spare one, so I put that one in. Now I only have one spare left. You can tell, guess what part I'm going to be ordering soon.
Yeah. In fact, I think you should probably just order a whole set and then do them all in one hit, because what are they, like $60 for a set?
It's about $60 for the set, yeah.
That's like fine. Like how many? What are we talking about? 5, 6 drop targets in there?
No, more than that. There's the 5 that are in line for the bonus.
Yeah.
And then there's 1 through 7. No, yeah, 1 through 7. So 7 more. So 12. Yeah, it's each drop target stands for 1 ball.
Ah, right. Yep. That's right. I thought that they were actually. Is there one? Oh, that's right. There's a bank on each side, isn't there? On 8-Ball Deluxe, there's a bank at the left and a bank on the right. Is that right? I should probably just go and play it. Have I hung or have you hung? I'd almost do all of my updates and check for updates half an hour before I do a recording. That way you don't get any surprises. Don't. No worries. I can wait. I'll just stay here. Smiley face. You should just be able to go straight back into your Hangouts console and just rejoin the chat. So how are you finding soldering things? Have you been practicing on perf board or anything like that? Might be a good idea to test it out before you have to inline solder a fuse again. Winky face. Do some practice in the lead time. You have to wait until you get the parts. Man, there's going to be a huge gap. There's going to be such a huge gap in this podcast recording. I'm going to have to edit out. Full stop.